So my voice is all correct, right? I did not have to increase anything.
Yeah, it's fine with you.
Perfect.
Dr. Guraj, Natesh here, Director Project Elephant. Can you hear me?
Namaskara. Yes, sir.
Namaskar. Okay. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, can you see me also now?
Yes, sir. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ tilt ಮಾಡಿ. Yes,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. So Manoj sir is there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good evening, Natesh.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Namaskara.
I just returned from Madkeri, sir. Currently
Okay, good,
joining
good.
from home. Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir. Today we are
Sir,
on live on YouTube also, sir.
Today YouTube live is working, sir. All things. So just today, like previous one, sir, just I will introduce and just
Sure.
anchor this entire thing, sir.
Perfect, Nitesh.
Dr. Guraj, we'll start in another 5 minutes. We have more, I think more participants may come in.
Sure. No issues at all.
We'll just wait for 5 more minutes to start then.
Yeah. ಇದು ನ್ಯೂ ನಾರ್ಮ್.
Yeah, actually we are ready with the thing, but still.
ಅಲ್ಲ we have to wait. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ I am staring at only screen.
Yes.
इसे डाल अच्छा अभी क्लास होना गया ना के बाद वो सब कोर्स में अब हुआ नहीं है चलो ये चीज में पापा सब इधर नीचे रख दिया
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
साथ से क्लास में आ रही है वेट को बात 10 मिनट वेट को बात करने भी नहीं होता हमें कैसे फैकल्टी जरा तुम्हें क्या भी छीना नहीं जरा फैन ऑफ कर जरा उनको फैन मैं ऑफ
Sir, should we start now?
ಹೌದಾ? ಏನಾಗಿದೆಯಾ ನೋಡು.
Manoj sir, start now, sir.
ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ಟಾಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೇನಾ?
I think we can start now.
Start ಮಾಡಿ ನಟೇಶ್. Let us start.
Yeah.
ಏನು? ಓ, ನಿನ್ KDF ಅಂತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ?
Good evening, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Mute all the other speakers, please.
Can start.
Perfect.
Sir,
Santosh?
Yeah, you can go ahead,
Santosh,
please.
yeah, we can start.
Yeah, please go ahead. You can
Okay.
start.
Camera on shoot tilt ಮಾಡಿ sir.
My spine.
Yeah, correct. This is correct.
Fine now? Fine now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. In run up to the Wildlife Week celebration 2020, Karnataka Forest Government has organized a series of webinars on various topics of wildlife and environmental issues. This is the third of such series. We have 9 in total. And today's webinar will have a renowned guest speaker, Dr. Guru Raj. And we will have exactly 1 hour session starting from now. And it may just go up to maybe another 15 minutes if time permits all. And then
Auntie, I joined the meeting.
conclude the session. Yeah, others can mute it, and we'll be speaking from this side. We'll let you know when to speak. And this webinar, like one presentation by Dr. Guru Raj on musicians of Monsoon. That's basically we will talk about the frogs and amphibians of the various angles to that in Karnataka especially, and especially in reference to the Western Ghats. Yeah. And now we have with us many participants. We have with us the Chief Conservator of Forest, Chamber Circle, Mr. Manoj sir. I welcome Manoj sir to this webinar. I welcome Dr. Guru Raj, who will be the guest speaker of the day. And welcome all the participants from my behalf and all behalf of the Karnataka Forest Department. And the CE partners who are hosting with us this webinar. And just before starting the webinar, I just introduce Dr. Guru Raj to the gathering here. Dr. Guru Raj is having a very illustrious career, and he has done his PhD in environmental science from Kuvempu University, and he has many accolades to his career, and he has done. He has published many national and international articles on basically wildlife, especially amphibians, his interest, and he has many awards to his name. I will now hand over my session without taking much, because the introduction itself will maybe take around 15 minutes, because it has a long list of achievements he has. So over to Dr. Guru Raj for the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Natesh, and thank you, Manoj sir, for the invite. Thanks, Santosh, for coordinating this. Good evening to all. This session will be on frogs, but I try to title it as musicians of Monsoon, ಅಥವಾ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂಗಾರಿನ ಸಂಗೀತಗಾರರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಹೌಸ್ ಕೀಪಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತಾರೆ ಇದನ್ನ, ಉಳಿದವರೆಲ್ಲ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಾ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಕ್ಲಾಶ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Let us go in a very slow-paced manner, no hurry at all. But I request all of you to mute yourself, and possibly, if you don't want to show yourself, you can also block your video so that the bandwidth will increase. Thank you very much. So I will share my screen now. Let us see whether I will be able to showcase my presentation. Okay, so it's here. It might take a bit of time for you guys to see. I hope it's there. Okay, so this is where I start with. You probably know what the plant is. This is coffee, and you can see something unique coming out of that plant. And let us listen to that sound.
Dr. Guraj, your PPT
Yeah.
stopped sharing actually. Can you share it again?
So we can't see your screen.
Uh-oh. Is it? What happened?
It stopped actually. Initially it came in, but again stopped. Yeah.
Is it? Okay. Let us see one more time. Is it now visible?
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah. It was there initially, and then it
Not
Not yet. Oh, okay. Okay. This is surprising. Let me see from the screen itself. Oh, okay. So there's something happening with the network. Okay, let me check. Okay. Yeah. Is it visible now? Is it visible now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can see your screen.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So that's a background sound for you. That's how a typical monsoon would appear in terms of sound. And many times the background sound will be like this. There will be a guy who will peep out and make some sound. And today, my entire talk will be covering some of them who are making these kind of sounds, and I call them as musicians of monsoon. Okay, so let's just move on. Oh, again, did it disappear, guys?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just a minute. I think I'm getting that. Sorry about this stuff. I know what's happening over there. Just a minute. I think I'm hiding the application. Let us share. Let us share. Okay. So when yeah. So let me move on to the next slide. Okay. So this is a glimpse of some of the amphibians that we have in the Western Ghats or in India, or even some of them are also seen in parts of Karnataka. This is just a glimpse. And if you listen carefully, there is a background noise or background sound that is coming. If you listen to this for another 5-6 minutes, you start appreciating that there is some kind of rhythm and some kind of synchronous call that happens, which probably people like me who has spent some 20 years will feel it's more of music than of a sound. But whoever is listening for the first time, it appears that there is something happening very rhythmatically, right? And they are nothing but frogs, and these are our musicians of the day. Okay, so let us see one of the individual musician. This is also recently on YouTube for various reasons, and let us see him first. So 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 one musician now duetting. The third one wanted to join in. He was headbutted, right? And last, yeah. So last month when this was shown, on YouTube, people were saying there is some COVID, that's why the frogs have turned yellow. Nothing like that. This is their breeding behavior. In monsoon, they will turn yellow. Males will turn yellow, and they will congregate near water bodies, and they croak. They will be joined by many other males who will also look yellowish in color, and that's why their sound appears, and they appear very yellow colored individuals amidst starkly colored background. Let's move on to something more. And this musician is from agriculture fields, paddy fields, very commonly found musician. Let us listen to him. Those who are residing close to open fields would definitely would have heard this sound. Okay. Then we have one more common friend who is called common toad. Okay, that's one more musician. Right, and one more who is called Ferguson's toad. Those who are having earphones, please reduce the volume because the sound is very intimidating kind of. You can get headache. Okay, so now we have listened to the musicians of Monsoon. Are we same? So here is Shubha Mudgal's image here, and you can see how she is singing. And just look at this image, and then we'll probably compare ourselves with what is common between the two, or what is unique with Monsoon musicians versus ourselves as humans, right? So I will move on. So what did we observe? So when you look at frogs and toads to that of human beings, one obvious thing was when human musicians sing, they sing in front of microphone, whereas frogs were not having any of the microphone, right? And when the frogs and toads were singing, you also saw that there's something which is bulging out of their throat, which is coming like a balloon, right? That's called vocal sac, right? Whereas in human beings, there's no vocal sac. There is nothing. It is absent. And then when you look at frogs and toads, when they are singing, they don't open the mouth, whereas we have opened our mouth to sing the song, right? So these are couple of things that one needs to look into when we are looking at the musicians of Monsoon. And then if you just simply listen to frogs and toad sound, they are simple, very repetitive, whereas human beings are very complex. They have vocabularies, they have swaras, there are a lot of things that will start coming in. Whereas in frogs, the sound ranges from 500 hertz to something which is beyond human perception of ears. It's called ultrasonic sounds. Like it is something like 38 kilohertz, whereas human beings can sing only between 280 hertz to 4 kilohertz maximum. And in frogs and toads, there are many species. As we have already seen,
Video
we
is
are
off.
about we have already seen about 4 to 5 species, whereas human beings, we are only one species. Wow, that's a huge noise. Huh. So next is when you look at frogs and toads, they will be croaking mostly during the night, whereas for us it can be anytime. So these are typical observation that you can see when you compare between humans and frogs and toads. So why do this happen? Wow, right? So if you go a bit closer in looking at frogs and toads, what happens is that when they croak, they get the air inside. Air comes from the nostril, or mouth opens up, the air gets in, and then it locks up the nostril and mouth. It goes into the lungs, and then from the lungs it pushes out, and it doesn't go, it doesn't escape from the nostril, it just get blocked there, but the vocal sac bloats up. So that makes them croak throughout the night. Whereas for human beings, the moment we speak, the air is expelled out, so we don't have any air left in our mouth or in the lungs, so we take breath in and then we speak again. So at most we can do is like 1 minute or 1.5 minutes continuous speak. After that we need to take a breath and then speak. Whereas in frogs, it is not the case. It just takes the air inside, it closes its nostril and mouth, and it can croak throughout the night. It doesn't stop. So that is why it's called closed system of sound. So this is how it happens. And have you ever wondered why the musicians make the sound? Is it anything to do with their behavior, or is it anything to do with uh, their they want to show off their presence, or they want to fight with others? There are many reasons to it. So one of the things that you can see here in this video is that this is a typical call of bush frog from Coorg. Right, so this is when the frog is advertising itself for a potential mate. Right, so they want to croak to say
Screen is
that.
not saying that.
Sorry.
Screen.
Uh
We
oh.
got first screen.
Oh, sorry again. I don't know. There's some issue with. Sorry for all these things, but this is how we have. It has become very normal nowadays that
Yes,
there is a
very much.
problem here. We have to deal with it. Yeah. Okay. Let me check. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. Right. So this is Coorg yellow bush frog, and it's and these calls are advertisement calls. What is advertisement call? It is just to say that a male is sitting over there and he is seeking a potential partner, a life partner for himself. So he says that I am a good guy. I want a friendship with a partner. Whereas it's not the only kind of call. So if you see here in another video, it also has a lot of human voice in between. Just bear with that. So these two are fighting with each other, the same species. And that's how, yeah. And look at the sound. It has changed from, it has changed from being a small repetitive sound. It has become now very intense sound. So even when frogs croak, there are different ways for which they croak. So obviously all croaks are not necessarily only for advertisement. There are territorial calls. As I was mentioning, there are territorial calls to defend their territory. There are distress calls if some potential predator have bitten or have held a frog in their mouth. They want to make themselves out of it, so they produce something called distress call. And there are something called release call when the frog is released from the potential predator. And there are some calls which are called reciprocal call. Reciprocal is to replay back. So generally in frog world, it's the male individual which will croak and female will only listen to, right? And very rarest of the rare cases, let us say among 8,000 plus species, only a handful of probably 100 or 150 species have reciprocal call from the female. The female responds to a calling male and saying that I accept you as my partner. So that is called reciprocal call. And why I am telling all these things is that when we look at frog, we generally have this feeling of ickiness, right? It feels that they are slimy, they are not so beautiful, they are ugly creatures, kind of. But when you start looking deeper into these animals, you'll start realizing that we know very little about them, right? And conservation is not necessarily only confined to larger animals. Conservation also involves these kind of small, little, tiny creatures. I'm just going a bit of technical detail here, and no need to worry about if you have not understood this. Just to show when the sound is produced, it is produced like a harmonic wave, right? You can see that there is wave that is being formed, and which is something similar. If you hold the skipping rope from one end to the other end, and if you wave it, how the wave forms, it is the same way the sound also is formed. But the other thing you need to understand in sound is that it is composed of two things. One is the pressure or the loudness with which the sound is produced. Another one is the energy or the frequency in which the sound is produced. So there are two elements in sound of frogs. So keep that in mind, or for that matter, any sound has these two properties. One is called the loudness, which is measured as pressure. The other one is called the frequency, which is measured in terms of the number of pulses per second, or number of beats that happens per second, kind of, which is mentioned as hertz. Whereas the pressure is measured in terms of decibels. Again, we just have to go back in time to understand how all this stuff has happened. So if you carefully see, this particular map is taken from Wikipedia. This is a geological time scale of how the origin of life and evolution of life have happened on Earth. Human beings have come on this Earth in the last 2 lakh years, 2 followed by 50 years here, whereas frog have evolved here, which is 370 to 360 million years, which is called late Devonian period. Can you see here? And they have evolved from sarcopterygian fishes or lobe fin fishes. This is how fishes were abundant at that point in time, and there were too many inside the sea. They wanted to get out of the water and venture into a new habitat, and they pedaled their fins, and that's how the first amphibian has come onto the land. This happened 360 million years ago. Can you see here? My pointer, I feel you will be able to see. This will be something between 360 to 370 million years ago, which is called late Devonian period. And this is one of the oldest frog that we know, called Triodobatrachus. This was recorded from Madagascar Islands. And recently, in May this year, there was also a frog, fossil frog, which was so far not known from Antarctic region, which was discovered recently. So if you look at our the amphibian origin to human origin, human beings are only 2 lakh year old, whereas amphibians were there, seeing dinosaurs come and go, a lot of changes that has happened on this world. But what is the issue here is that these musicians are losing out in the race with human beings. We are losing out our habitat, we are losing a lot of issues, we are polluting, and that is where we need to really conserve amphibians. And at the same time, we also need to figure out who else were able to produce sound, or who else in the time scale were also able to produce sound or vocalize or become musicians. So it was the frogs who were the first to become musicians. This was again somewhere around 250 or like 225 to 250 million years ago. Frogs were the first one to do, followed by mammals, and then there were birds. But this doesn't change even after so many millions of years, because mostly vocalization has happened as a communication tool and evolved during the night. Nocturnal species are the species who want to communicate during the night. So frogs are the great example for that, because their activity happens during the night time. Again, these are very technical things. You need not have to really worry about it, but just to keep an eye what all aspects can be looked into when we talk about music or musicians or vocalization. Again, to give briefly what amphibians are not necessarily how you have studied in the classroom, of species that stays inside water as well as outside water, kind of. Amphibians are actually having two life stages, one as tadpole and other one as adult individual. For example, tadpoles are something like this. I hope you are able to see. So these are stream dwelling. They will go into the bottom, they scrape algal mat, they feed onto that, and then they grow, right? And they are not fishes because they don't have fins. They only have tail, and their body is very roundish in shape, whereas fishes are flattened on sides, right? Whereas the next one, when they grow up, which is called metamorphosis, they will become adult like this, right? It's the same tadpole which has turned into an adult now. Okay, so Since they have these two life stages, they were called amphibians. And this was done way back in 1750s itself by Carolus Linnaeus, who categorized animals into vertebrate group and then said, these are the animals which have two life stages. Let us call them as amphibians. Let's just move on a bit with the uniqueness of amphibians. That also helps us to understand why their vocalization is so important. So amphibians or frogs and toads are also called ectotherms. Ectotherma means ecto is external, therma is temperature. So what does it mean? That means they are not like human beings. They don't have their own body temperature. We have some 36.6 degrees Celsius as our body temperature, or 98.4 is our Fahrenheit temperature, right? And if we cross anywhere 100, we'll say we have a fever. Whereas frogs, they don't have their body temperature at all. If they are in a surrounding which has 21 degree, their body temperature is 21 degree. You can see here, this is through a thermal camera. I have taken a photograph over here. So body temperature of frog is not different from the surrounding temperature. It's just 0.1 degree change. Apart from that, there's not much change at all. So that means these amphibians are very good indicators of change in health. For example, this frog has a relative scale of 20 to 30 degrees within which they have to stay. And suddenly the temperature changes to 32 degree. That means you will not see any frogs in that area. So the best example for local extinction of species is urban areas where lakes are filled with mud and there are buildings coming up. And in those areas, you will never find frogs because the temperature would have changed. The habitat would have lost completely. So that is one of the reasons why amphibians are also known as biological indicators. So any small changes in temperature, the species start moving away. So people are talking about global climate change, right? So if you think about a species that can potentially show us what is the change that's happening, amphibians are that great example for that. They are also amniotes. Let us not get into, but just to understand that they don't have protective layers. If you see a egg of a chicken, it has an outer layer which is whitish in color. After that, on the embryo, there will be a protective layer called amnion. Whereas in frogs, you don't have any of those layers. That means they are exposed to almost everything under the sun. So if there are pesticidal sprays, if there are chemicals that can directly enter into the growing embryo, that makes them vulnerable for changes. Sorry. Okay.
So if the egg does not have any kind of covering and all, then how does it protect its eggs? There'll be a lot of loss, no? So if
Correct.
any kind of chemical or anything will enter.
Perfect. You can also ask this question at the end. I will just briefly tell you. This is one of the reasons why frogs lay large number of eggs. So they won't produce like human beings, like one or two in your family, right? They try to produce something like hundreds together. They try to produce thousands together, so that they know even if there are changes, if there are something happens to them, at least 5 or 6 individuals still remains, right? That's why they produce more number of eggs. Okay, yeah, I'll try to move on. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. So next is how they see colors. Okay. Frogs have something called vision acuity, which is very less. That means they cannot understand if something is standing still. So if you show yourself to a frog and you stand there, they can jump over you. They can even climb onto you. But if you start chasing a frog to catch it, they'll start hopping further and further. So those who have done this, you will understand what I'm trying to convey here. So if you are standing still, you can catch a frog easily. If you are chasing a frog, it becomes very difficult to catch a frog because they start seeing the body movement as a moving image. So that means they are good in analyzing a video rather than analyzing a photograph, right? They also have some sensitivity towards light. So that's why they are active during the night rather than acting during the day. They have more number of rods. So rods are sensitive to very little light. So they can see even in starlights or even pitch dark night and they can move on. Whereas in daytimes, they will be like, they can't even see anything. So that's the harshness of the light. And they also have skin colors which are based on these three color pigments: melanophores, xanthophores, and iridophores. Let us not get into that. These are, again, just to see how much deeper one can look into musicians. Now let us take a global view of how many species are there in the world. According to Darrell Frost, who runs a database for the whole world, which is updated every day probably. So if you see, he lists that there are 8,177 species of amphibians. Now amphibians cover 3 different orders. One group is called Anura. Anura is an means absence, ura means tail. So these are frogs and toads. These are salamanders or chordata, which have a tail, and then there is one which looks like earthworm, but these are not earthworms. These are called Sicilians or Gymnophiona. So these are the 3 orders that we have in amphibians, and their distribution is also very unique because amphibians are distributed now almost all the continent, right? Whereas salamanders are only for temperate regions, and exception is South American region, where that we still have some salamanders in tropical region. Whereas Sicilians are only tropical in nature, so you don't find Sicilians in temperate regions. And if you look at it, like anurans are the most diversified group that we have, whereas salamanders and Sicilians are less. One of the key thing is that Sicilians are subterrestrial. That means they burrow inside the ground, and that's why to find them, it is a difficult task. So that's why probably less number of species is being discovered. Coming to India, we have about 455 species, and again, anurans predominate the group, with about 413 species. We have 2 species of salamanders in India and 40 species of Sicilians. Coming to Sicilians, coming to Karnataka state itself, we have about 110 species of amphibians. We don't have any salamanders. We have only anurans and Sicilians. Okay, and 33 of these 110 species have been discovered from Karnataka. That means it has not been discovered elsewhere. It is there, absorbed from Karnataka. Probably the distributions are elsewhere, but they are first time discovered from Karnataka. One of the 2 species in last 4 years, I think 2016, they were all from Karnataka itself. Rochester's Honmati or Honmati bush frog, Karavali skittering frog, laterite marmot frog, they are all from Karnataka region. Okay, frogs also have a bit of history, like how musicians have their history. Frogs also have their history. Again, the history goes back into something like 60 to 70 million years ago. We, like humans, are not even in anywhere closer to them, right? This particular frog, which looks so odd, which has a pig kind of nose, which is called pig nose frog. This is probably the oldest frog species or family we have in India, which is about 60 to 70 million years old. And then we have species which has probably come from Eurasian plate, like China species that have come and occupied in India, or there are species which would have gone out of India and occupied into Southeast Asia. There are all these kinds of species that we have in India. That's the history of Indian amphibians. It's also good to see what is happening in India. So discovery pattern, if you look at, we had 5 species that was discovered in 1799 by Schneider. That's the first time India reported there are 5 species. And since then, we have discovered 455 species. And look at what has happened. In last 20 years, we have discovered about 200 species. That means 10 new species per year kind of. And that amounts to 40% of all the discoveries so far has happened. I will also move on to give another dimension why we need these musicians. So musicians also need food. Same way, frogs and toads also need food. But look at the food that they eat versus what we eat. Okay. This is common toad, and he is feeding on to insects, and these insects are known as white ants or termites. And in that one, I think it's almost 1 minute, he eats about 62 plus individuals. So you can imagine how much of insect population these toads control, or the frogs and toads control. So in a way, we need these musicians not just for their sound, we also need them for controlling the insect population and pushing that energy trapped in insect world to the next tropic level. Okay. So if you don't, if all the amphibians go extinct, you will definitely see how the difference will be, right? This is not by me. This is by Vancouver Aquarium. They put a poster to say we need to conserve amphibians. Also, recently, in 2017, there was discovery of a chemical compound from a frog from the Western Ghats called Bahuvistara fungoid frog. They got a compound called urumin, which fights against H1N1 virus. And I don't know why people have still not shown interest in looking at how to fight against COVID. Probably there are people who have started working on that too. So there are huge benefits that you can see from looking at these musicians of Monsoon. I will just conclude my part of this discussion with the wow. With a cultural dimension. This has happened in Udupi recently, I think in 2019, and Mr. Nazir Polyev has sent me. This has happened in Kalsanka in Udupi. It's a frog marriage. So let us see what happens here.
The video is breaking.
The video is breaking.
I will stop there because that was culturally important. What we need to understand here is that we need not have to go and tell people that, oh, you should not do all this stuff. What we need to tell them is that they were able to get those frogs because they still had water bodies next to their home. So if they lose those water bodies, they are not going to get any frog in the coming monsoons. So we need to pitch from those perspective rather than simply saying that, oh, you should not practice this or you shouldn't do this. I also agree that the way the frogs were handled was really bad. But if you can gently tell that how the way to handle it, probably that will be sorted out. So why I am pitching over here is that unless some of these conservation aspects are culturally embedded, we are not going to conserve anything. So we need cultural backing for our conservation aspects. That's why I brought this frog marriage into the conversation. Let's just move on to a couple more videos before I conclude.
Sir?
This is one of the, yes, please.
I have a doubt, sir, in frog.
Please. Go ahead.
Sir, before some time you actually told that frogs are active during the night, right, sir?
Correct.
But if they can see clearly in the night only, then what guarantee do they have for their life when it's bright, sir, in the day?
What guarantee means?
No, sir,
They
if
don't have.
they're not able to move and if they're not able to see clearly, then how will they sense if a predator is going to
That's
harm
why.
them?
That's correct. I will get back to you on this.
Yes, sir.
Generally, they hide themselves during the day. They don't show themselves to people or predators. Except those large-sized ones, many of the frogs hide themselves
Sir,
during the daytime.
sir,
Okay.
sir, can
Okay.
I say something, sir?
You can.
Sir, you said that some fungi frog was discovered in 1772
Go ahead.
with a virus. Can it kill COVID-19, sir?
That's what we have to check. Nobody has looked into. So probably we will start looking into that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so quickly, let me go through a couple of unique sound makers or musicians from the Western Ghats. So this is Malabar tree toad. Okay. Look at the way that it produces sound. It has taken the air in. It is pushing the lungs so that the air comes out. But air doesn't escape. It goes into the vocal sac. Right? That's how they produce the sound. And this is a Malabar tree toad, and it's one of the toad which is capable of climbing onto trees. Let us also see some small sized frogs, and not necessarily every time the sound should be very pleasing. Let us listen to this sound. Look at this. Look at the size of the balloon to that of the frog, right? Okay. Let us move to one of the
Something, sir.
Uh,
Sir,
uh,
can I
I,
say
I
something?
I will finish this. Then I will take all your questions. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry to intervene, Dr. Guraj.
Ah,
Yeah, actually, just for the participants here,
ah,
please keep your questions to the end, or whenever there is a doubt coming in, just put it in the chat box so that all the questions will be addressed at the end of the session. That let
perfect.
the speaker conclude the his presentation, and the questions will be in the chat box, and any questions unanswered again we can ask at the end of the session.
Sure.
That's the pattern. And to the benefit of the participant, I'm just because there are many kids participating in this.
Yeah.
We'll have a quiz at the end of the session based on the presentation here, and there will be offline quizzing also. That link will be shared again. So please keep your pen and pencils ready and the
Yeah.
sheets ready, and you can all keep ready for the quiz coming up in the end of the session. So
Sure.
now I will request all again to mute yourself unless very important things to be shared. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Natesh. Yeah. So let us listen to this particular sound. Nobody can believe that a frog can sound like that. So that's probably thousands of frog together. They made that sound. It's like a football stadium kind of stuff. Okay. And then we have same group of frogs called microhylids. But look at the sound. It's completely different from all the two species that you heard. This is completely different, right?
Sir, I can't hear it.
Let's move on. So this one is called Indian burrowing frog, and listen to this sound.
It's not audible clearly, sir. There are background noise.
Sound is not audible.
Okay, and please
There is some issue with the audio actually. That
Yeah, sound
frog
is not
sounds.
audible.
oh, okay.
Speaker sound has to be increased. Your voice is clear. Now it is correct.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Dr. Gururaj, you're not audible. Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is another small species from the Western Ghats. Again, these are bush frogs. You can see that they are on the plant, very tiny ones. But look at the sound that they produce. Very metallic sound. And look at the balloon and the patterns on their legs. Right. We'll move on. This is from Honey Valley. Okay. Sound is only that much. Yeah. Pink, pink. And this was another unique species that we were able to see. Uh-oh. I don't know what's happening here. Mm-hmm.
Allah. Allah.
Okay, yeah. So this species was discovered in 2017. Let us see from here. Yeah. So look at the way the eyes, the body, and the sound, right? So this frog is found within the bamboo clump, and that's why we named it as Oaklandra reed bush frog. It's named after the bamboo, right? And then we have something which are not so pleasant sounding kind of. Let us see whether it works. Okay, I will skip couple of this and then probably will. Yeah, this is mountain goldenback frog. That's the sound. Okay, and you can see a frog over here. I hope my pointers are visible to you all. And that frog makes very feeble sound. It's like krr, krr. That's all is the call. Okay, let's move on. There's another species called half-web leaping frog, Semipalmata. I don't want to take scientific name here just because it's too much overwhelming kind of. Anyway, let us check. Okay. Aha. So that's the reason. Hello.
Can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. I was just wondering what has happened to my sound, and then figured out yes. So because these are this again, it's a half-web leaping frog. You can see that it is in between two rock, and it's inside the crevice, and there are a lot of eggs there, and that's how it makes the sound. And let us listen to this guy, who is called fungoid frog. What you also have to observe when you are listening to frog is that look at this part behind the eye, which is called tympanum. This is called tympanum, and this is the eye. The larger the tympanum, they are able to sense. It's like a dish antenna. So even the feeblest sound they will be able to capture. Okay. This you have already seen. This is what called complete metamorphosis in a lake. So you will see millions of frogs coming out of the water in a go, right? And this is one of the recently discovered frog called Karavali skittering frog. Okay. So last two videos before I conclude, and you need to see this because it's not just sound now. It's also there are species which do a lot of other stuff. And one of the species is called dancing frog. It's called Kotegara dancing frog. Let us see what he does. That's called foot flagging or dancing behavior. Look at that. He will stretch his leg here, right?
Sir, the video isn't continuous, sir.
Sorry.
The video is breaking.
Uh-oh. Let us see one more time. That's the first leg stretched. This is going to be the second leg. Being stretched, yes. So that's called dancing behavior. So far you heard only singing. Now they also start doing dancing. So amazing musicians we have. Okay, and then you have some of the species which are called night frogs, which again are very unique in their sounds. This is called Humayun's night frog. Look at the sound, right? And then you have Jog night frog. Let me see. Okay. Okay. And then you have probably one of the species from Karnataka, which is called Kumbara night frog. We'll just see the video and then probably I will stop there. So frogs not just croak, they do a lot of stuff. So here is a species called Kumbara night frog. There is a male there, the female here, and they meet, they make friendship, and then they lay eggs on the twig. And not only that, after that the male comes back and protects those eggs, right? So that's one part. This is what their mating postures are, and that's how they lay their eggs on the twigs, right? Okay. So the female puts all the eggs onto these twigs, and then the male comes back and he puts mud onto those eggs. So in Kannada, Kumbara means potter. So we named this species saying that he is covering the eggs with mud like a potter. So that's why the name Kumbara night frog. So I probably end my session here of my presentations. And this is again an impact of urban sound. What happens when the flights comes there? So what happens with urban noise and all is that frogs start croaking very intensely, and female will not recognize whether he is the same species or not. Okay, so in that sense, female will not mate and they will not have any family at all. Okay, so in this entire process of listening to musicians, you people, students, young ones, so you have a big role to play in conservation, and not just listening to my talk, in actually reporting the species nearby your home. These photographs are from pre-COVID time, so we don't have any mask on us. But if you are now going to field, you need to wear mask. So what we need to do is, you need to keep a nature journal. That is, to keep a small pocket book like that, and keep writing whatever you are observing. So there is a saying called slightest ink is better than strongest memory. You need to observe, make notes, and try to say what you watched, where you watched, and try to give it to your teacher, or even report it yourself on this website called Frogwatch, which is under Creative Commons licensing, and that helps us to understand where the species is being recorded. And all your observation will be in your name only. So you need not have to worry that whatever data you give, I am going to run away with it. Nothing like that. The data will be in your name. But you are helping us to conserve these species, because not just you, it is for your future generation also. We need to have the musicians of the monsoon. So I will end with that. Thank you. And if you have questions, you are most welcome. Natesh sir, how we are going to do now? It's 5:28 now.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Gururaj. Actually, now I'll throw open the floor.
Yeah.
For question answer. There are some already questions coming in the chat box. If you can see from the chat box, or should I?
I will see. I have came out of my screen sharing.
Yeah.
If you can let me know from where the question starts, that will be great.
Yeah, the chat box. We can open it up. First one. Yeah, one. Just let me see.
Question 1. Can Indian bullfrog possibly interbreed with Jordan's bullfrog in the wild, forming hybrids? Have such findings been reported? There are possibilities. There are some of the observation that is saying that there are possibilities of hybrids also, but there is no scientific report as such. So somebody has to do this work to figure out, is there any hybrid? Because so far in the whole world, there's only one hybrid we have seen called Rana redibunda. That's the only hybrid so far. So probably if there is a natural hybrid, I think we should be able to look into it. Question 2. Granular cricket frog calls, do they resemble the calls of Microhyla ornata? No, they are completely different. Yeah. Then question 3. Any personal, somebody was just asking. Question 3. I'm sorry, I just missed that question 3. Can anybody repeat that question 3, please, for me? Hello? Sir, you are muted, I believe.
3. Any personal observations in the field?
There is one question in between.
Satellite
1 minute. Let us speak one by one.
Any personal observations in the field where you have noticed satellite behavior in any species?
Yeah. So I did work on Nyctopatricus joke, and I have seen satellite males in that species. Yeah. Question 4 by whom? Question 4. Okay, let me check. Yeah. Did endemic species of Western Ghats evolve from lowland species several 100 to 1000 years ago by allopatric speciation, or did they evolve by parallel radiation? Wonderful question. There are a lot of studies that is going on with this aspect. We don't know how exactly something is happening. There are some instances species might have come from ships, and they are evolving. Some places it's a allopatric speciation. There are possibilities, and some species it probably, I don't know, like I can't categorically say anything as of now. So each group, if you study, you will be able to understand what is happening with the evolution of species. For example, the bush frogs are the most diverse group of frogs in the Western Ghats. We have about 50 plus species. So how they have diversified, it's a good question to look into, right? Probably over a period of time we will be able to answer this question. Question 5. What is the other question? 5 I missed. Can somebody tell me what is the question 5? Has cat red outbreak been reported to cause population decline in India or Western Ghats? There is a report of kite red infection in Western Ghats. Dr. Karthikeyan Vasudevan from CCMB has worked on it. There are several species, especially the stream dwelling species, and their families are most affected. But luckily, this chytrid infection is endemic to India. So it is not like you have an European chytrid fungus which has come to India. It is a chytrid fungus of Indian origin itself. So we need to figure out how to tackle this issue. We still have not gone to that level. Sir, what is the difference between frog and toad? Oh, wonderful question. If you just see molecular level, there is no difference between frog and a toad. But for our convenience, frogs are slimy, very smooth to touch, whereas toads are very rough, like sandpapers. Frogs are generally towards water, whereas toads are generally towards land. Toads have a gland behind their back, which is called poison gland, whereas frogs don't have this gland. These are minimal things that you can see between frog and a toad. Okay. Do we have regular amphibian walk census in and around Bangalore? If yes, how to join? There used to be, but this year I have not been to field and there is no field work at all, thanks to COVID. But we are going to organize this regularly during the monsoon. But it requires a lot of safety measures also taken from the participants. It can't be just from my side. Whoever wants to join the frog walk and all need to participate with precautions. Okay. And there is a question. Frogs are large active at night. Then why are specific species known as night frogs? Perfect. So when we give names, this is what we generally miss out on. But again, so it's a Latinized name. Nicti means night. Batrachus means frog. And from that, we got a name called night frog, but which is a misnomer, as you rightly pointed out. So that's why we need to generally see how we name a species, right? A good point. So Sukhpreet. Okay, who else? So as of now, you can't identify any poisonous frogs in India. We also don't know whether it exists or not. But whatever we had was, or we are having, is from the South American region called poison dart frogs. You might have seen in movies and all that they release chemicals on their back, and these chemicals doesn't come on their own. It comes from what they feed on. It's based on the ants, or it's based on the insects that they feed on, that they generate a poison on their back, and that is used to protect from predators. Okay. What?
Dr. Guraj, you missed one question.
Yeah.
There is one question in between how to identify male and female frog, and
okay.
how to know the age of a frog. That is the two questions you missed it.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see it. So to identify male and female, it is same as how we identify human beings, right? So you have something called secondary sexual characters. So frogs, male frog will have a pad on their thumb, and that thumb is called nuptial pad. If you see a nuptial pad, and that will be generally male individuals. And males also have, in some species, something called femoral glands on the thigh. So if you see that, that's the male. And if you see vocal sac, that is a great indication it's a male individual. Female will not have a vocal sac. Okay. Next question was sorry.
How to
so yeah, one of the best way to look at age is to rear a frog from its egg stage to death, and that's why you will be able to see. But that's not feasible for all frogs. So what they do is they'll cut the finger bone and they will count the rings. How you count the ring in a tree is the same way. If you count the ring in the finger bone, you will be able to figure out what is the age of the frog, which is called like gerontological studies. Okay. How long is frog's lifespan? It depends on the species. There are species which live only for 10 months, and there are species which live for 55 years. So Japanese giant salamander is the longest living amphibian, which is 55 years. Whereas an Amazonian toad, which lives only for 10 months. Within that, it breeds and it dies off. How long? Sir, frog help in pollination? Not yet. Not yet anything has been reported on that. Is there any geographical variation occurs in bullfrog? There can be, but again, this is a molecular level work. One needs to run and then figure out what is the variation. how many types of frogs are there? As I mentioned, as of today, there are roughly 8,200 species in the whole world. Also, sir, if female frogs have bred and they lay 80-100 eggs, how will they be alive as it is so small? So among 80 to 100 eggs, so probably 5% of it will survive. Others will try to figure out how to survive. So one of the photograph I showed in my slide, there were millions of frogs just came out of the lake. Not all those individuals will survive because there is scarcity of food. Those who gets the food will survive.
Sir, that isn't my doubt, sir.
Ah.
I'm asking if the female frog has to lay like 80 to 100 eggs for the protection of the eggs, how will the female frog be alive after laying so many eggs?
So that's how their body structures. So their eggs are not like human beings, right? It is just an egg. So nothing happens. So in human beings, everything develops within the womb, right? That's why you spend a lot of time. So at least 9 months to deliver a baby. Whereas in frog, it is just an egg which has a nucleus, and that comes out of the female, and it is fertilized with the male sperm, and that's how they develop outside the body. So nothing happens to female. So females can lay up to thousands of eggs. So larger bodied species will lay thousands of eggs together. Nothing happens. They are not protecting eggs inside the body, so they are not spending lot of energy.
Here we'll
yeah, Dr.
ask one or two
Dr.
questions.
Guraj, yeah, there will be so many questions coming in. I can
Yeah.
limit the questions, and then we'll have to switch over to the question and quiz section.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, because we're overshooting that time, I think.
Okay. Can we get into the quiz now?
And other questions will be answered maybe through mails, and maybe you can check out the chat box. You can share your mail IDs. That
Okay.
answers will be there.
Sure. Santosh, can I share my question slides?
Please.
Okay.
Please
okay.
go.
Sure. I will do is I will share my application window.
Once all those slides are over, we have one more small quiz with Mr. Jaj will moderate that after completing the quiz.
Okay. Sure. Just a
Before
minute.
you are starting the quiz, I request you to please tell the rules. So we'll tell the rules.
Please do.
Share the screen.
Please. Okay, I will do that. Just a minute.
Before Dr. Gurraj gets into the quiz program, these are the rules which needs to be followed by all participants. The answer, Dr. Gurraj will be posting one question in the slide, and the fastest answer, which needs to be typed in the chat box, will be recorded by our team, and they will be eligible for a e-certificate. And the most number of correct answers, they're eligible for a mega prize from the Forest Department. I hope clear. You need to type the answer in the chat box. Whoever answer it correctly in the chat box first, they will be declared winner. For each after each question, the answer will be shared again, and the person who got the correct answer first will be announced in the group. Once that name is announced, you need to type your name, mobile number, full name, mobile number, and your email ID. Only then we will be able to send you the certificate.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me go to the quiz. Let me see what's happening. Just a minute. I don't know what's happening. Okay. There's some.
Ask your question. What is your age bracket? Anybody can participate, but let's give preference to the young kids who are participating in here.
Correct. In my slides, actually, in fact, the slides that I'm sharing, first 10 questions are meant for kids. So adults, please refrain from answering or helping out. It is meant for kids. Let us appreciate their understanding. Let us support their understanding rather than we intervening in between. I hope I am able to convey to you. So first 10 questions will be asked only for kids. Okay, not for adults. Is it fine, people? Shall we go ahead?
You get the answer right. Please don't say it loud, but you need to type the answer in the chat box. Okay?
Yes. So
okay, you cannot give the answer by voice. You need to type your answer in the chat box. Got it?
Yeah. Just a minute, sir. I think I am struggling here. Sir, what you can also do is, Santosh, are you able to hear, Santosh?
We can hear you.
Can you share the slide from there? Because I think something is missing from my side.
Okay. Just a moment.
Yeah, please.
You can stop sharing it.
Yeah, I have stopped it. Oh, no. Okay. Stop sharing. Yeah. I think my images are taking a lot of processing time, and that's probably one of the reasons why. Okay, no need for me to share, I believe. Okay. Okay. Oh, great. Can go directly to presentation. Perfect. Thank you, Santosh. So everybody, again, you are not supposed to spell the answer. You have to write the answer in the chat box. Got it? So can we go to the first question? So in majority of frog species, it is the males who croak and females listen to it. Is it true or false? How many seconds we are going to give, sir?
Sir.
You have to type the answer. You are not supposed to talk. Type.
Okay, you can go to the answer now.
What is the answer? Answer is true. Okay. Whoever has given answer, who is the first one to give answer?
Okay, we have most of the participants have answered it correctly, but Nitya Srinivasan has answered it first. Congrats, Nitya Srinivasan.
Yes, sir.
So please share your full name, email ID, and telephone number in the chat box. We will record and we will send you the certificate. Okay.
Perfect.
Let's
go to the next question.
Yes.
Do frogs and toads croak with wide open mouth like us? ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ನೆಲಗಪ್ಪಗಳು ನಮ್ಮಂತೆ ಬಾಯಿ ತೆರೆದು ಕೂಗುತ್ತವೆಯೇ? Okay. So again, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ chat box ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀರಿ. No need to answer loudly.
We can go to the answer now.
Yeah. So ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳು ನಮ್ಮಂತೆ ಬಾಯಿ ತೆಗೆದು ಕೂಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವುಗಳ ಬಾಯಿ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಕೂಗ್ತವೆ, ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಗ್ತವೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ಮೂರನೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ.
Before that, I want to announce the winner.
Please. Sorry.
Yeah, most of them have got it correctly, but Tarun Reddy has got it first. Tarun Reddy? Okay, please send your email ID, full name, and mobile number. Tarun Reddy. Okay, we move on.
Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Third question. So ಈ ರೀತಿ ಬಾಯಿ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂಗುವಂತಹ, ಬಾಯಿ ತೆರೆಯದೆ ಒಟಗುಟ್ಟು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ? ವಾಟ್ ಡು ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಸಚ್ ಎ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ವೇರ್ ಕ್ರೋಕಿಂಗ್ happens without opening the mouth? ಅಗೈನ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೀನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ನಾವು ಬಾಯಿ ತೆರೆದು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. ಬಾಯಿ ಮುಚ್ಚಿ ಮಾತಾಡೋ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಏನಂತಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಸಿ who is able to answer it properly.
Okay, we'll move to the answer now. It's called closed system. Yeah. Mr. Gururaj, you're online. Hello. Mr. Gururaj, you're online.
Oh. I'm online.
Okay,
Yes.
most of you have answered it correctly, but Mr. Keshavmurthy has answered it first. Congrats, Keshavmurthy. Please share your email ID, phone number, and full name, please. Thank you.
This is called closed system. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮೂಗು ಮತ್ತೆ ಬಾಯಿ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ನಾಲ್ಕು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ.
Next one.
ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳ ಅಧ್ಯಯನಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ? ಈಗ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಧ್ಯಯನಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಕರೀತಾರೆ? ಆರ್ನಿಥಾಲಜಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಹಂಗೆ ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳ ಅಧ್ಯಯನಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ?
ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಚಿಕ್ಕು
ಉತ್ತರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋಣವೇ?
ಓಕೆ.
ಉತ್ತರ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಾಕಾಲಜಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಾಕಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳು, ಲಜಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಾಕಾಲಜಿ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಉತ್ತರ. ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು ವಿನ್ನರ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
Okay, most of you have got it correctly. The first person to answer was Mr. Srinivas. Srinivas has got it correctly. Please share your email ID as requested earlier. Thank you.
Okay, next ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. In a croaking frog, the balloon-like sac is called as. ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳು ಕೂಗ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅವುಗಳ ಹತ್ರ ಇರೋ ಚೀಲಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ?
Okay, go to the answer.
ಆನ್ಸರ್ ವೋಕಲ್ ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಂತ. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಸರಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಟ್ಟವರು
the first person to say it correctly was Mr. Srinivas again.
I think Bharat.
Sorry, Bharat has answered it correctly. Sorry for the Bharat, can you share the email ID and phone number, please?
Okay, next ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. So frogs do not need a viable medium to transmit their sound. ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳು ಶಬ್ದ ತರಂಗಗಳನ್ನು ಚಲಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂವಹನ ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ ಬೇಡ. ಸರಿಯೋ ತಪ್ಪೋ?
ಶ್ವೇತಾ ಅಲ್ಲ?
ಬೇಡ.
We'll go to answer.
Yes.
So answer ತಪ್ಪು. ಯಾವುದೇ ಶಬ್ದ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಯೂಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಶಬ್ದಗಳ ತರಂಗಗಳು ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಮೊದಲಿನ ಇದು ತಪ್ಪಿದೆ. ಅದು ಕಪ್ಪೆಗಳ ಶಬ್ದ ಕೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಸಹಿತ ಒಂದು ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ ಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಗಾಳಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ನೀರ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಒಂದು ಮಾಧ್ಯಮ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು.
And the correct answer was given by Dr. D.R. Prasanna Kumar. Please share your email ID and phone number. Thank you.
Okay. ಈ ಕಪ್ಪೆಯ ಹೆಸರೇನು? ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಕಾಮನ್ ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು? ವಾವ್, ಬಹಳ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಹೌದು. ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್, ಎಕ್ಸಲೆಂಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್.
Okay, we can go to the answer.
Yes, it's called Indian bullfrog. Common Indian bullfrog. Sorry, common Indian toad. Tappaito. Common Indian toad. Yeah.
Common Indian toad. Nishil.
Indian toad bardru sari.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So most of you have given it correctly, but the first correct answer was given by Nishil.
Nishil.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nishil, please share your email ID and phone number, please. Thank you.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ.
ಯಾ.
ಬಟ್ ಈ ಫಸ್ಟ್ 10 ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಬಹಳ ಕಿಡ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು, ದೊಡ್ಡವರು ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡದಿದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ಈ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಹೆಸರೇನು? ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್, ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್.
We'll go to answer.
Yes. ಇದು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲನೇ ತೋರಿಸಿದಂತಹ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕ್ಲಿಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು ಈ ಕಪ್ಪೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಬುಲ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಹಳದಿ ಬಣ್ಣದಲ್ಲಿರುತ್ತೆ ಗಂಡು ಕಪ್ಪೆ, ನೀಲಿ ಗಂಟ್ಲು ಚೀಲ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ, ಅಥವಾ ವೋಕಲ್ ಸ್ಯಾಕ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
Okay.
Next question.
The correct answer, most of you have given it. Congrats once again. But the person to answer it correctly first was Mr. Bharat. Bharat, congrats. You answered it correctly and at the fastest.
Share your mail ID.
Please share your email ID and phone number. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Next question. ಈ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಹೆಸರೇನು? ಇದಕ್ಕೇನು ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಯಾವ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಸಾಕು. ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ತಿರೋ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ನೋಡಿನೇ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅದರ ಹೆಸರು. ಓಕೆ. ಅಗೈನ್ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ನನಗೆ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಬಹಳ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
Okay, we can go to the answer.
Yes, it's called ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆಹಾರ ಡ್ಯಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್. ಡ್ಯಾನ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ ಬರ್ದವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸಹಿತ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have very good response from all of them, all of the participants. But again, the correct answer given first was Mr. Nishil. Congrats, Nishil.
ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ.
Please share.
ನಿಶಿಲ್ ಅವರೇ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಇದನ್ನ. ಈ ಕಪ್ಪೆ ಹೆಸರೇನು? 10ನೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ.
Yeah. So we go to the next one. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Very nice. Overwhelming sir, ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
Okay, we can go to the answer now.
Yes, yes. ಇದು ಕುಂಬಾರ ನೈಟ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್. ನೈಟ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ರು ಕೊಡಬಹುದು, ಕುಂಬಾರ ನೈಟ್ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ರು ಕೊಡಬಹುದು. Super.
Okay, the correct answer was given by Bharat again. Kumbara night frog is the first to answer it correctly. Congrats, Mr. Bharat. So we'll go to the next one.
ಸೊ ಈಗ ಉಳಿದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು. ಈ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 5 ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಇದನ್ನೇ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ, ಇದರಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ ಅದು. ಸಂತೋಷ್.
Quiz for all.
ಕ್ವಿಜ್ ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್. ಇದು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಏಜ್ ಬಾರ್ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. 5 ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿದೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಮೊದಲನೇ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ, ವಾಟ್ ಡು ಯು ಮೀನ್ ಬೈ ಎಕ್ಟೋಥರ್ಮ್ಸ್? ಎಕ್ಟೋಥರ್ಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? Wow. Wow. Whew.
Nice to know that everyone is very authentic and very loud your talk actually. That's why they are responding like this. This is the sign actually.
Okay, we can go to the answer.
Yeah. So ectotherma, ecto means outside, therma means temperature. So body temperature maintained externally. ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟರ್ನಲ್ temperature and ಬರ್ದಿದ್ರು ಕೊಡಬಹುದು, cold bloodedಗೂ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು. Whoever has given first answer, yeah.
Mr. Srinivas has given the correct answer. He is written as cold-blooded, so you get the point.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Srinivas, please share your email ID and phone number. Thank you. We can go to the next one.
Yeah. How many species of amphibians are there in India at present? Wow.
Oh, this is really good.
I am so happy. Whoa.
That is 455.
Wow, there are exact numbers are also there, sir. So
yeah, we'll give the exact number. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll go to the answer.
We'll go to the answer.
Yeah. 455 species as of today.
And Shivani Mamamne has answered it correctly. 455. Shivani, please share your email ID and phone number.
Super.
Yeah, before we go to the next question, I just want to give an update on the scores. Mr. Bharat is leading with 3 points. Nishil and Srinivas with 2 each. And rest of the people are, many of them are in single points. So the competition is between Bharat, Srinivas and Nishil.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah, next question.
On geological time scale, when did amphibians evolve? ಇದು ಟೈಮು ಬರಿಬಹುದು, millions of years ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಬರಿಬಹುದು. Wow. Wow. Oof. ಉತ್ತರ ನೋಡೋಣ. Hello, sir.
Okay. Answer is 360 million years, late Devonian period.
ಬಹಳ ಜನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಉತ್ತರ.
Can we give it to Devonian or the number?
ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು ಸರ್, ಎರಡರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೊಡಬಹುದು.
Yeah, Dr. P.R. Prasanna Kumar has answered it correctly. Devonian correctly. Congrats, Dr. Prasanna. So
he's also leading with 2.
So he's also leading with 2. So he's also competing for the first place along with Bharat.
Okay. Next prashne ಕೇಳೋಣ.
Yeah.
How many fingers are there in a frog's hand?
4.
Wow.
Frog has 4 legs.
Legs ಕೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ಮರಿ ನಾನು, ಬೆರಳು ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಕೇಳಿದೆ. Fingers. 2.
Sir.
Okay, sir. Answer ಕೊಡೋಣ. ನಾಲ್ಕು ಬೆರಳಿರುತ್ತೆ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಂದು ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಬೆರಳುಗಳಿರುತ್ತೆ.
Yeah, kids got a little bit confused, but the correct answer was given by Nishil again.
Yeah.
Answer is 4.
Yeah.
Nishil, please share your email ID. So Nishil also comes to the competition with Mr. Bharat.
Last question we'll check.
Yeah,
who
last
is the
question.
winner. Sicilians are amphibians. True or false?
True. Sir, true.
Type it, don't say.
Correct. Type it. Key it.
Yeah,
type ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
ಯಾಕೋ ಮಾಡು. True.
Yes. Okay, we go to the answer now.
True.
true. Jai Sharma, yes.
Yes, also.
Yes is also fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Jai Sharma has answered it correctly. So Jai Sharma, please share your email ID and phone number. So we will continue the quiz. We got, since it is getting very interesting, we have some more questions which we'll connect. Let's see. So just hang on. Yeah, we'll just share the slide.
Srujan, mute yourself.
So before we get on to the next set of questions, the scores are as follows. Bharat and Nishil are tied up with 3 points. Srinivas, Nishil, and Srinivas, Prasanna is again tied up with 2 points. So we continue with the quiz. Yeah. Next question, please. Okay. Which year was declared as the year of the frog? Which year was declared as year of the frog?
Wow.
This is for all the elders also. You can help your kids.
Wonderful.
Okay, let's move on to the answer, please.
2008.
Okay, we are getting from 2007 to 2019. We are getting answers.
Quite interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah. So let us see the
Luckily,
answer.
it's not 2020.
Yeah. So that is the year of the COVID, actually. So the correct answer is 2008, and Nishil has scored it first. Congrats, Nishil. I think this is getting more
close and
more interesting. So let's move to the next question. Nishil, please share your email ID. I think we have your email ID. Yeah. In India, frogs are believed to personify what element of nature? In India, frogs are believed to personify what element of nature?
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಕಿ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, since it is a little what do you call the competition was getting little closer, we thought we'll put some little twister.
Correct.
So Dr. Gurraj will be the correct person to answer it correctly. Let's see the answer. Answer is thunder.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
according to Dr. Gurraj, is saying it is correct. So then that's the answer. Yeah, always we have thunder and rain, which is more associated.
Yes.
We give it to thunder because that is the one it is personifies.
Yeah.
Again, the correct answer was given by Nishil. So Nishil is leading. Well done, Nishil. Okay, next one. The first amphibians appeared on Earth more than this is
years. Yeah. They got reinforced now, so they will never forget this.
This answer there is no.
Yeah, this is a repeat answer, so we will not be giving. Anyway, we'll see how many of them are correctly. Yeah, most of you are got it correctly, but there's no point for this answer.
Okay. Yeah, 360, 370. Fine.
370 years ago, Devonian period, which it was answered in the previous this thing. Okay, let's move to the next one. Everybody is very anxious to know which is the biggest and the smallest. So let's see which is the largest known amphibian in the world. Largest known amphibian in the world.
Okay. Very nice. So
let us see the answer.
Santosh, if it is correct, perfect, no issues, perfect. Sorry.
Answer is Chinese giant salamander. It is not found in India.
Correct.
It is known to be measured up to 1.2 meters, and an adult is known to weigh between 25 to 30 kgs. It is found in the. It is endemic to the mountains, Rocky Mountains of China, on the lakes, on the riverside of Yangtze River basin. Okay, congrats, Mr. Srinivas has correctly answered. Chinese giant salamander is the correct answer. That's the one, the huge one you can see there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question.
This is the last question. The smallest frog is Pseudopherne amensis that measures in
2
what is the size?
2 centimeters.
No.
You have to say it in centimeter, millimeter, feet, whatever it is. You have to say it correctly. You have to type it.
Type ಮಾಡಿ.
My goodness, centimeters, feet is not come, meter is come. Good. Very interesting. So let us see the answer.
Yeah.
It is 7.7
mm. It can fit on thumbnail.
Yeah, it can fit on thumbnail. The correct answer was given by Bharat. It is the species is found in Papua New Guinea. It's considered as the world's smallest known vertebrate.
Yeah.
The species, which is the smallest frog, which measures about 7.7 mm, is found in Papua New Guinea. Okay, congrats, Mr. Bharat. Yeah, with this, we come to the end of the questions quiz on frogs. Congratulations to all of you. I think this is well played. I see a lot of correct answers, and we will now declare the winners of this quiz competitions. Okay. Which point, sir? Mission 4,
Five. Mission 5.
Okay. The first place goes to Nishil George with 5 correct answers. Congratulations, Nishil. Everybody can clap for Nishil. Followed by Bharat. Bharat, you get the second place. Congrats once again. I think everybody should give a big hand to all of them. And the prize to and Srinivas and Prasanna gets the third prize with 2 points. So congrats, all of you are well played. We can give only 3 prizes, but all of you will get a ticket. We'll share the correct answer, whoever is got it correctly. And we'll be sharing a link. A link has been shared for an offline quiz. So you can click on this and answer all your all the questions posted there. And you will be getting a certificate for every participation. Wonderful time on the quiz. So we hand over to Natesh sir now.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Thank you very much. Actually, that was a very entertaining, in fact, very participative by the all age groups. I can see very smallest of the, I think around 7-year-old boys to even the elders participating in the quiz. Very active one. When we were having a tough time to decide who has come first in answering this one, because most of them gave a correct answer, and it's because of the quickness somebody might have got the prizes here, but everyone is a winner who has participated in this webinar. The main intention of this webinar was to just to make aware about the importance of the amphibians in our ecosystem. Actually, Dr. Gururaj has brought out it very nicely, and it was very interesting for all age groups across. And it was, you can say that due to the tough conditions that we are going through, we couldn't organize a personal or a one-to-one seminar like this one, but webinars we are able to try to sort of compensate with us, but still we are trying to reach out to the maximum.
Your voice is low, sir.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but it's very low.
It's breaking. It's breaking. Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
Sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir. We can hear.
Yeah. So the entire seminar took more than I think 1.5 hours. We are crossed. In fact, 1 hour 45 minutes into the webinar, and it was very interesting. I thank the guest speaker, Dr. Gururaj, for making it so interesting and so informative, basically. And we would like to have more such webinars here. And whoever is having more interest into amphibians and want to know about this in detail, may get in touch with Dr. Gururaj. Again, he will share his email ID over here, and he will also share his WhatsApp number. Maybe get in touch with Dr. Gururaj also. And we will also be putting this link. Or entire webinar has been recorded, and it will be in our forest department's YouTube link as well as in the Facebook link. It will be available there. Anybody who missed out any points of the webinar can just go to the YouTube link of the department, and you can again get back to the same things. And the presentation will also be displayed in our departmental website as well as YouTube link. So thank you one and all being participating in this one. Actually, this is the third one of the webinar series, and it was probably the most interesting one so far I've been. And thanks to the guest speaker who made it so interesting, and the most importantly, the participants were so active this time, and it was really, even the guest speaker was even I can make it out from the answers he was getting, and he must be thanking that his thoughts have gone into the minds of the people who have participated, youngsters, and good to know that also. And with this, we'll come to the end of this webinar, and I thank one and all, and also the senior officers also who had been in this with us in this webinar through WebEx linkage as well as through YouTube linkage. People are linked to us, and I thank all the senior officers, all the participant, guest speaker, Dr. Gururaj, and the CE partners who have hosted this one, Mr. Santosh, Mr. Manjunath, and George. All of you done a wonderful job. Thank you very much, and say bye. I will be having a next webinar. Just I would like to announce, and it will be the same time, same day next week. That is Wednesday of next week at 4:30 again. So the topic will be put on our YouTube linkage, and also it will be on the departmental website also. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you one and all. We are closing the.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.